G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. Continuing on with our best 17 series today, we're going to take a dive into the Wests Tigers, a season full of so much hope, and fuck, I hope it turns around. I really, really do. I love the recruitment drive they've gone on. I actually think this is looking like a pretty good side. You know what? Up until today when I actually wrote down the side, I had my concerns about depth. It's actually better than I thought it was, to be completely honest with you. So really looking forward to getting stuck into the Tigers. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, you could have watched this a week ago in the Roo Crew. The link is in the description if you'd like to come and join us. Honestly, too much fucking content in there for you to be able to deal with. If you've been someone that's been listening to the content, sitting on the fence, do I jump in? Do I not? Come in, give it a go. If you don't like it after a week or so, you don't think you're getting your value, please hit the frog and toad. I'm very confident when you get in there, you will find it worthwhile. Got a Roo Crew Supercoach comp coming very soon. There's going to be a few $1,000s up for grabs there with just a $10 entry via the Roo Crew. Very, very exciting there. So join the Roo Crew. It's in the description. Live events, everything coming your way this year. Let's get stuck into the Wests Tigers. Now at fullback, I think he picks himself, Jareen Buller, probably a little bit down on where we expected him to be in 2024, but I think that's just because of the heights he reached in 2023, despite the team going pretty bang average. I'll be honest with you, I thought towards the back end of the season, Buller started to find some good form, and when you are losing every week and you're at the bottom of the ladder, it can be really tough for young guys. So I think Buller, I'm not saying he's going to have like another breakout season and kill it, but I think he is definitely still the best choice fullback there, and I still think he can be one of the more talented and elite fullbacks in the competition long term. So Jareen Buller, he would be my fullback, and I know Taruva's arrived at the club, and maybe you could look at him, and there's a few other guys there that can play fullback, but I think Buller is the option there, so he'll wear the fullback jersey. Wingers, I have got two new guys arriving at the club that will get jersey 2 and 5. They are Jarrell Skelton coming over from the Canterbury Bulldogs. If you've listened to Guru content over the last few years, we've been talking about him for probably 2 or 3 years now. I think he's rounded out his game a little bit more. I think he's one of those guys that, you know, he'll have an error occasionally or whatever, but I just think he's so good coming out of his own end, good under the high ball. And you know what? Even with the errors, I think he's improved a lot over the last 12 months. So him with an opportunity to show what he can do, I think Skelton shits in on the wing, and I think he'll be one of the better wingers of 2025. So one to keep an eye on there. Taruva won, I think, 2 comps at the Penrith Panthers in the last few seasons, comes over with Jerome Luai. A lot of finals experience, which this side needs. I think he just brings confidence and X factor to this team as well. So Taruva locks himself in on one wing, and Skelton would be on the other side for me. Centers, this was tough. There's a lot of good guys there. There is like the young Felity kid. I like him. Brett Naden, apparently he's having a really good preseason as well. You got Charlie Staines there, who you could pick wing, center, whatever. You got like Lau Lilly there as well, who, you know, he can sort of play somewhere in the back line. But look, I'm going to go for the experienced guys here. I'm going to go for Juzzy Olam on one side, and Adam Doueihi. I don't know. I just hope his body holds together for him. I think he is a classy player, Adam Doueihi. I don't think he's a ball player. I think he's a running centre, and I'm happy to have him in the side. I think he'd probably also be close to first choice goal kicker. It'll be between him and Appy, but Doueihi and Olam, they'd be my centres. But I think it's really good for those guys to have Naden, Staines, Felity, these guys breathing down the back of their neck, because I think it puts pressure on them and forces them to play their best footy and train their best, which, you know, both these guys, you know, Juzzy Olam's obviously a premiership winner coming out of the Melbourne Storm system, and Adam Doueihi has proven just how classy he is over the years. So they'd be the centres I'd start with if they're both fit and ready to go, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is a little bit of chopping and changing in the centres throughout the year. Probably their biggest threat, I've got him written on my list, I just forgot to say his name, was Stafford Toa as well, who I found it very hard to leave him out, and it won't shock me if he's there round 1, but I'm going to start with the experience there, but he will be the biggest threat, and if you have a bad game, I don't think you want to give Stafford Toa an opportunity to come in and show what he can do. The halves, I think these two pick themselves, guys. I won't waste too much time with you here. Lockie Galvin at 5'8", obviously coming off his debut season, which was incredible. I said last year I would have given him Dally M 5'8" of the year, and I stand by it. What this kid did at such a young age in the team he was in to have the season he did really did blow me away, and I'm so keen to see how he goes. I'll be honest with you, if Galvin was coming into this season with, you know, just a stock standard halfback next to him, I'd have my concerns because of how high he got last year. I think Jerome Luai is going to arrive at the perfect time for Galvin. I think he's going to be fantastic for him. I'm expecting Galvin to just regress a little bit. But I think what's going to happen is he's going to regress on paper. I don't think he'll have the huge stats and stuff that he did last year because there will be a bit more load sharing with Jerome Luai. But I think he's just going to keep developing as a good first grader. He might not hit the highs, but I think it's the consistency you want to see from Galvin. So I'm excited for him to partner up with Jerome Luai, who is the halfback. We spoke about 2 weeks ago about how, Jerome Luai walks into the building. It's his team. I said then I would make him a co-captain with Appy. Thankfully, the Wests Tigers made that decision last week, which was really good to see. Jerome Luai at halfback, Galvin at 6. And you know what? I wouldn't put any shackles on Galvin. I wouldn't tell him you have to stay down this edge. I just sort of let him float around and do his thing. I think he'll play predominantly down the left edge, and Luai will probably dominate more of the right. But I'm happy for Luai to play both sides of the ruck. I think it's the best way to do it. When he was the halfback at the Panthers for a period of time, that's how he was doing it. I think you just let Galvin play off the back of him. So really excited to see this halves pairing, and I think they can be very successful together. All right, let's get into the forward pack. Similar to the wingers, we had 2 new guys to the club starting there. I'm going to do the same in the front row. I'm going to have Royce the Choice Hunt partnering up with Terrell May in the front row. So I think these two are probably the 2 best front rowers at the club. I do have concerns about the bench, and we'll get to that very soon, but I think Royce and May is the best option here. I think I think Royce, you'd sort of let him go for the first 20, maybe push him to the 25-minute mark, then take him off. Terrell May, I'd kind of let him go the distance in the first half. I'd maybe leave him on for 10, 15 minutes into the second half and then give him a 10, 15-minute spell and then get him out there hopefully for the last 15, 20 minutes. I think he's more than capable of doing that. I think as soon as you have an injury or something here, you probably ask Terrell May to play the entire 80 at times. But ideally, I'm letting May play the first half. I'm bringing him off. I'm bringing him back on for 10 minutes in the second half, a little spell. Then when he's ready to go, throw him back out there for the last 20, 30 minutes. I think that's the best way to go. So that's how I would use those two. Hooker, obviously Appy, one of the best 9s in the competition. He picks himself there. I believe Appy is unavailable for round 1. I think it's a suspension that he has got. So you might see someone else jump in there, whether it's a De Silva or someone. But Appy, once he's available, he's obviously the co-captain. He's the first choice 9 at the club. Second rowers. Interesting conversation here. Fainu, he'll be on the left edge. I thought he was tremendous last year. I really enjoyed watching him sort of start to come of age. I think he's got a lot more development in him, but I really like what we're seeing early days from Fainu. He has me really excited. So he'd be on one edge. My other edge back row, I'm looking at selected teams and whatnot, and I don't know, I think people are sleeping on Alex Seyfarth. I think he's going to land on an edge, and I think he's going to have a really good season. If I had to tip a little smoky from the Tigers to have a bit of a breakout season, I think it'll be Alex Seyfarth. I always thought he was a middle forward. Saw him play a couple of games on the edge last year, and he really impressed me. I also think getting him out on the edge, I think it gets him away from the hustle and bustle of the middle where he can find himself in a brain explosion. I love that he gets the opportunity to go at small halfbacks out there. I think he's going to absolutely terrorise them. I really like him on the edge, and I'd be keeping Alex Seyfarth there. I think he's going to be one of the guys that really jumps out of the ground for the Tigers this year. One of my guys to keep an eye on. So Final on one side, Seyfarth is over on the other. Jersey 13. I'm in 2 minds here. I'm in 3 minds, obviously. Jack Bird is the obvious choice to chuck in there in Jersey 13, unless you have him on the edge, which I know some people do. I'd rather Seyfarth, and I'd rather use Jack Bird differently. To be honest with you, I don't want Jack Bird starting in the 13. I'm happy to start Jack Bird off the bench and put him on for the last 60 minutes or so. I think that with Jack Bird's body and everything, if you can take him out of the hustle and bustle the first 20 minutes, I'd love to just bring his impact on, just after that sort of easing through period. Once that real tough 20 minutes is done, bring Jack Bird on and just let him cause havoc around the ruck. I think that's the best way to use Birdie. We talk about it all the time, guys, the old ideal of bringing guys off the bench, you shit players, fucking bullshit. If you know how to manage a team, you know how important your bench is. That's how I'd be using Jack Bird. So in my Jersey 13 to start, I'd have Fanua Bolle, who I really like. He'd start in 13 for me. When Royce Hunt comes off the field, I probably bring Jack Bird on, and I probably just shift Bolle into a real middle forward forward kind of role. And I think that's the best way to go. I think you can give him another 10 minutes there. I think he can play the opening 30, and then you can make a substitute for a Twal, a Clemmer, one of these guys. So that's how I'd work my starting side. The other man that I'd be happy to have in 13, and, I don't mind it, to be honest with you, is Matamua. He's another guy we'll talk about when we get to the bench, but I think Pole and Matamua, I think they're the two best options for jersey 13 to start, but Jack Bird is coming on and playing that role for me. But I just don't think we need to force Jack Bird to play 80 minutes every week. I don't think it's in the Tigers' best interest. I don't think it's in Jack Bird's best interest. And I just think you need to manage him a little bit, and I think that's the best way to do it. So that's how I'd go about my starting side. When I get to the bench, jersey 14, I'm a little bit up in the air here. Obviously, you can play Talon De Silva, but he's more of an out-and-out 9. Realistically, if I've got Appy as my 9, I'm not going to take Appy off. Unless he's carrying an injury or something, I'm letting Appy go the distance. So I probably don't go with Talon. I'm probably looking at Latu Whanu, one of my favourite young guys in this competition. I still think he's got a lot to offer in the league, and I think that it's good preparation for him to have him in the jersey 14. That means that he can come on and he can play 9. I think he could jump on and just play through the middle a little bit as well. If you have an injury to the halves, he can sort of cover that spot. The beauty of having Adam Dewey in your team is that he can cover a range of positions as well. So I'd probably run with Latu Whanu. Joining him on the bench, I would have Alex Twal, obviously a big minute forward who will just do a job for you. I'd have the experienced campaigner, David Clemmer, in jersey 16. I think David Clemmer is getting on a little bit, if I'm honest, but I only really want him to play 20, 25 minutes in this game. I'd bring him off the bench. I do think there's an argument to maybe start him over Royce Hunt, let him go for the first 20 minutes. The reason for that is I do think that when you start to make interchanges and you bring these guys off the bench, there might be a little bit of a drop-off potentially. But once again, if I'm leaving May out there for big minutes, I can sort of deal with that. I think you want to finish the game, the last 15, 20 minutes with both Terrell May and Hunt back on the field to finish with a bang. So my bench would be Latu Whanu, Alex Twal, David Clemmer, and this is where I'd have Jack Bird in jersey 17. I know people will push back on that and want Bird in the starting side, and I'm hearing you. I get you. I just don't think it's in Jack Bird's best interest. I think it's better off to keep him for a big 60 minutes, 20 minutes, get him to halftime, then go hard for the last 40 minutes. I don't think – the thing with Jack Bird is, and I say this about a lot of players, but he's definitely one of them, he's too tough for his own fucking good. He's at the latter part of his career. He's still got a lot to offer, but his body has shown that he is going to struggle with playing 80 minutes through the middle like people are hoping he does. I just think it's unrealistic. I'd bring him off the bench. Hopefully he'll go the entire 60 minutes, but if you're starting to see fatigue in Jack Bird and whatnot, I'm happy to bring him off once again. So, Jack Bird in jersey 17. I absolutely love the guy. He's an automatic in my team, but I just don't think I'd be starting him. I think you can get better flow with this side by bringing Jack Bird on after about 20 minutes. So that's my 17 as it stands right now. Fullback Buller on the wings, Taruva and Skelton, Olam and Dewey in the centres, Galvin at 5'8", Jerome Luai in the 7, Royce the Choice Hunt in the front row with Terrell May, Appy at 9, Samuel Finu on one edge, Alex Seafarth on the other side. Fanua Bolle starts in jersey 13, and my bench, Latu Finu, Alex Twal, David Clemmer, and Jack Bird. So the players that are missing from this side, the depth, which I don't mind. You got Justin Matamura. I spoke about him. He's probably the unluckiest to miss my side, to be honest with you. I really like the look of this guy. I think I would rather him go and play reserve grade in jersey 13 and work on his ball playing there than play 20 minutes off the bench or whatnot. He's next man up as far as I'm concerned anywhere in the forward pack. You got Brett Naden and Charlie Staines who offer you good depth in the outside backs. Don't make my starting side, but you could do much worse than having those guys. Stafford Toa, you'd probably argue him and Matamura are the two unluckiest to miss my side at the moment. One injury away anywhere in the back line, and Stafford Toa comes straight in. So when you're looking at depth of Stafford Toa, Brett Naden, Charlie Staines, you got two premiership winners in Brett Naden and Charlie Staines, or Charlie Staines anyway. I think Brett Naden might have left after 2020. But two, good guys to have as depth. I have also got Josh Fellerty as well, a young guy there. We'll see how he develops over the next few years. And you got Talon De Silva as well, who's a very talented young hooker who can't get a spot in this side. There are some other guys in the squad that I don't know too much about. Tony Sukkar. You got the La Lily boys, who I'm very, very excited about. I think they've got a big future. Brandon Tumeth is there as well, not getting in the side. So there is a lot of depth in this team. coming to sit down and do this podcast, and when I wrote the team out, I thought, depth is going to be an issue, but they are a little bit better sorted than what I thought they were. I still do think this team, if they have a major injury to Jerome Luai and Appy or Galvin, all of a sudden I have serious concerns about them, or a Terrell May for that concern as well. But I do think if they can just have a decent injury around the Wests Tigers, I think they can do okay. I do not think they'll make the top 8 this year. I think that's a little bit out of reach for this squad. I think that aiming for a 11th, 12th finish is probably as poor as that sounds. I think that's going to be a good achievement for this side. There's still a lot of young key guys in this side between Galvin and Buller. A lot of development to do. A lot of key ball players coming into this side. A lot of you've got a rookie coach as well. You still got off-field drama. Just a lot going on. I think this needs to be a year where the Tigers just smooth things out, start to find their identity again. And I personally think 2026 is the year where we start to talk about finals footy once again. I just think this year's a little bit of a stretch. Guys, thank you for joining us once again on the Rugby League Guru podcast. Plenty more best 17s coming your way over the next few days.